Shalom, brothers and sisters. Shalom, brothers and sisters. Giving honor and praise unto the Most High, the Creator, the Maker of heaven and earth. My name is Yeshaya Yisrael of the tribe of Dan. My name is Yeshaya Yisrael of the tribe of Dan of the nation of Israel. This particular presentation, we intend, brothers and sisters, to present to you all in love and in respect. And we ask you all to subscribe to the channel. We ask you all to comment, like, and share. I am open to constructive criticism as well. And brothers and sisters, in much love and in much respect is this presentation presented. So we ask you all to get your pens, your pad, your paper, and to take notes. Thank you for your time. We will start momentarily. Thank you so much. It is a custom that I shut down the camera aspect so people are more focused on the presentation itself. Thank you for that matter. Shalom, brothers and sisters. We are going to, there was some technical issues before and so forth, and we are going to, brothers and sisters, attempt to in doing this matter, in doing this presentation. I thank you all for subscribing to the channel. I see new subscribers. I thank you all for commenting. I thank you all for subscribing to the channel. I see new subscribers. I thank you all for commenting, liking, and sharing for those who've done so. Again, I am open to constructive criticism, and this will be presented on the channel More Yeshaya Torah Lessons. All right? So, if I can be heard and if people are in good spirits, please type in the number 3. If I can be heard and people are in good spirits, please type in I'm asking the number 3. All righty? Again, we're going to pull up the PowerPoint. All right? And we call this one here, brothers and sisters, the story of David. Thank you for that, my love, Sarai, in that particular case. All right? And we're going to go to the slideshow from the beginning. All right? And we hope and pray, brothers and sisters, that you all are well and will be better. Now, giving honor and praise unto the Most High, the Creator, the Maker of heaven and earth. I want you all, brothers and sisters, to get your pens, get your pad, get your paper, and to take notes. I thank the Most High for the beautiful woman in my life, brothers and sisters. Not too long ago, I tried the presentation, didn't work out its best to my knowledge. And my lady was able to give me the confidence to say, oh, don't give up. Things happen. You'll be okay, and things of that kind of nature. So it definitely is a good feeling in that particular case. I know and understand that people are listening to different presentations today on Shabbat and so on. And I thank you all to take out the time to listen to this particular presentation. I do not have the spirit to want to say, I want to get these people to follow me and hear what I'm saying. No, because I still listen to my teachers. And I say sometimes while being called a more, I want to be the Talmud, the student. You understand? I'm 43 years old. It wasn't until 3 years ago that I learned to feed an animal. When I went to the zoo as a child, it was a thing in which we were feeding animals. and there was a teacher there. But I didn't relearn that, if we will, until I was 40 years old from someone who was about 10 at the time. So be teachable, brothers and sisters. And we can learn from animals. Me and my lady, not too long ago, went to the zoo. And the animals there seem to get along. The animals there seem to be at peace and tranquil. You understand? We saw the peacock and we saw the tiger or the tigress, pardon me, whatever one it may have been. We saw different animals and so forth. And I swear I saw the ibex, but I have to confirm that. The IBEX, which by the way is from the land of Israel and is clean to eat. One of the things my lady said to me when we were there was, you gonna point out every clean animal? You must be hungry. I'm like, not exactly, but I just, it was a good timing. There were different nationalities there from the children of Noah, and Shem, Ham, and Japheth was there. You have the animals that was there. And what I noticed is the people working there were mainly who we understand to be the children of Israel. Why do I mention that? In part two, before we get into this particular case. Black women, not to be racial or sexist, used to say, he don't want to get a job. I ain't taking care of no man. What can he bring to the table? Get a job. Such and such. Now sisters are saying, you working too much. When do you have time? Are you really at work? Can you call me on camera phone when you working overnight? Where are you? Prove by your pay stub those hours are there. I say that to say there seems to be a transition between the complaints made about our people to our people, which, and to a certain extent, with that is not a bad thing. The Most High is known by his works. People already known on a human level by their works. You understand? And even as corrupt as many societies are, they still look at your credit history in order for them to know how they want to deal with you. So we want to leave a good name and a good record. And this is why we go over, in this particular case, the matter, say, of David. And brothers and sisters, without any further ado, let's do this, giving honor to the Most High. This presentation is intended to give respect on a human level to a person who helped set the way for the kings to come, David Daweed. So what can we say about that, brothers and sisters? Is that there are certain people in this earth who have the ability, who have the mindset, brothers and sisters, to be able to lead others. They just have that ability. They have a leadership quality. You understand? But in so, we want to make sure that that leadership quality is of a good and righteous manner. David was such. And this is why we say that he helped set the tone for the kings to come after him. You understand? And in such manner, we see that David was teachable. David was approachable. It wasn't a thing in which, like, you can't tell me, that kind of spirit. That was not the spirit that David had. And so, in like manner, with him having that kind of spirit, you find many Israelites themselves naming themselves after him in many, many cases. I want to give due respect to my teachers. May some rest in peace. More Yosef, Adon Ishai, Chief Simeon, More Tibak, More Hoshea, More Mishael. I want to give due respect to some of my teachers who are here. More Yehotzedek, Kohen Mikhael. And even though I don't speak of him much, Adon Shalem, whom I know since I was a child. He teaches in the congregation in Georgia, and his channel is called Or Ami, which means the light of my people. I subscribe to his channel. You may want to as well. And these are some of the people whom I have respect for. Sar Ahron out of Hashaba Yisrael. Adon Nasi Keskriya from the congregation Sha'arei Shemayim. These are different platforms that come weekly and help shed light to our people. Subscribe to those channels, brothers and sisters. All right. So let us continue in this introduction. David, a man who lived to be 70 years of age, ruled from age 30 to his death. He was the king who ruled in Judah and in Israel. We want to point out that he had respect for his predecessor Saul and for his co-regent Ishbosheth. David too was not perfect, but as Solomon, his successor stated, there is no man that does good and sins not. Who can be noted as sinless? Shalom, Sarah Michaela, my love. If you can hear me and if you're in good spirits and so forth, please type in the number 3. To the people who are on the channel, I don't know who you are in full. To the people who will watch it later on, I don't know who you are in full. So what this points out is what? Be careful. And it's not that you are saying that you gotta live for a fallacy, because nobody is perfect. But you know what people respect is when people change. You understand? When a person, male or female, can acknowledge his or her own wrong, even if it ain't acknowledged in public, but can change, and people can see the change, that's very important. So when we did this before, brothers and sisters, and say about 2 weeks ago on this channel, as well as on the channel Mora Yeshaya Hebrew Lessons, we went over the translation of the names of the sons of David. And we're going to go over the translation of the name David in this presentation. One of David's statements that stood out to me was, "Leave me not in the hands of man, for man has no mercy." David also knew his position before his God and that he always called on the Creator for matters. David was not one to be what you may call a vigilante. I'ma just do me, as the saying goes. David's character was more so, what would the Most High say? What would God want me to do? You know how people say, what would such and such do today? David's stance would have been like, what would God want me to do? And that's the path I'm going to go, because then you know you're never going to go wrong. One of the things to point out about David when he was a child, when the prophet Shemuel went to anoint the son of Jesse to be the next leader in Israel, David wasn't even brought out. David was kept in the back with the sheep and the animals. And that was the person that the Most High wanted to use. You understand? So this is something we want to point out in that case. David spoke about his ailments, his trials and his tribulations. And recently, my lady, Sarai, was inside of the hospital. Not to get too personal on why. And the Most High brought her through. I will say this, again, not getting too personal, it was for something that was intentionally, it was already expected for this matter to be dealt with. And the doctor stated that it went well. And we prayed to the Most High to guide the hands of the physician. And we say thankful to the Most High for such. So, brothers and sisters, what we want to point out, what we want to get into, and what we want to discuss is the matter of David or David. All right? We want to have, as the Bible states, the sure mercies of David and not the negative matters. May we all learn from this. Now, let's look at here, brothers and sisters, right? And we're going to look at the laser pointer, right? Sipur Dawid. Sipur means what? A story, right? And what we are told about David in this particular matter, if we will, brothers and sisters, is his character. Shalom, Zofia. Shalom, thank you for joining in. And his way about doing things and about handling things. Sipur, this word means story. The word comes from the word siper, which is the verb meaning to tell. Shalom, Valerie. Thank you for coming in. The word in the PL stem is as follows. We see here the word misaper, where the highlighter is, or where the laser pointer is. We see this is used with hu, ata, and ani. Now, who remembers what that is? Hu means he, ata means you, and ani means I. You understand? So, with that being the case, misaper means telling. Ani misaper means I am telling. Ata misaper means you are telling. Hu misaper means he is telling. And on a human level, giving a shout out to my lady who encourages me, my lady Sarai. I want to say thank you to Valerie in the chat for purchasing my lady's book, Not to Talk Business on Shabbat, and so forth. Because being a poet, being able to write poetry like the Book of Psalms is not a gift given to everybody. So for those who have the gift, get your stuff published. Whatever you write, get it out there to the people. You understand? And if you don't think that the Tanakh, the scriptures, uses names in place of one's true name, all you got to do is look at perhaps Achan in Joshua. That word means troubler. Obviously, his mom or dad didn't name him troubler. So that's the name that you got as time went on. You understand? So let's continue and look at this. You have with the laser pointer the word misaprim. We see this used with haim, atem, and anaknu. This is masculine plural. All right? So, brothers and sisters, if I can be heard and the people in good spirits, I'm asking again because I can't hear myself upon that. Please type in the number 3. All right? If I can be heard, if I can be heard well, and if you're in good spirits, please type in the number 3. Let's go on. The word for scribe is sofer. The word for book is sefer. The word for to count in root is the word sapar, which also means to cut, like a barber. All right? Now, the word karat means to cut, and that's a bad cut. Because when I say sapar, when I say karat, that's the root word that you see in Leviticus when it said that soul shall be cut off. You don't want that karat. That's the same root word for divorce, kiritut. So divorcing and cutting off and stuff like that is not nice. It's not the best thing. All right? And thank you all for typing in the number 3. Again, thank you all for supporting my lady's work and her book, a book of poetry coming from the tribe of Judah, like David was a poet from the tribe of Judah. All right? So, in looking upon it in that particular case, all right? CP, shalom, pardon me, CP, son of wisdom, Shabbat shalom to you as well. All right? I'm going to type something in and explain why I say what I say here. Shabbat Sas. Now, why do I say Shabbat Sas and not Shabbat Shalom? It's not to be difficult, but maybe it's just to be a little different. The word Sas, anybody means what? What does Sas mean? Does anybody know? Shabbat, we know, is like rest, day of rest, Sabbath. But what does the word Sas mean? I'm going to ask that question in the chat there as you see. So, Sipur meaning story, and its root and everything like that. All right. You have Misapir, which is prefixed with the mem. You have Misaprim. You have Sopir, Sapir, Sapar, Misa, Mispar. The word for number. All right. The word for number is the word Mispar. Mispari would be my number. All right. So Mispari is 908 587 4841. All right. So let's look at that. Mispar meaning number. Right? 908. Tisha. Efes. Shemona. 587. Kamesha Shemona Shabbat. 4841. Arba Shemona Arba Echad. So Mispari, my number, will be just as stated in that particular case there. All right. Shalom, Thomas Miller. Shalom to everybody who's joined in. Thank you for the comment. And let's continue. Thank you. Daweed, also stated as Daweed. Why do I point that out on the top there? Because whether or not you spell Daweed having a yod within it or not, it still gives the same meaning and the same pronunciation. Personally, this is why I do not teach Hebrew in Grammatria. Grammatria is not bad, it's not wicked, it's not a sin. What it is, Grammatria is when you're dealing with Hebrew and saying that each letter represents a particular number. And from that, you deduce other matters. Because you can see Daweed with a dalet, a wow, and a dalet. In Grammatria, that will be the dalet as 4, the wow as 6, and the dalet as 4. So that's 4, 6, and 4, which will give you 14 in that case. All right. Shalom Yirmiyahu Yisrael. If it's the same Yirmiyahu, sorry about that earlier. I just shut that down because of the matter with the internet. All right. Then we see here also Daweed with a dalet, a wow, a yod, and a dalet. All right. So if that were to be the case with that, in Grammatria, you would say dalet as 4, wow as 6, which would give you 10, yod as 10, which would then in total give you 14, and then dalet again, which would give you in total 24. So Daweed spelt on the left-hand side with the yod in it will give you the numerical value of 24, whereas Daweed spelt on the right-hand side, will give you the numerical value of what? That is being the matter of 14. So there are brothers in Israel who do teach Grammatria. I personally do not, because, and this is one of the reasons, because it has the exact same meaning of the same person and the same character. All right, whether you have the yod in it or not. And I'm going to highlight the yod letter so that way we can see what we're talking about for edification purposes. All right, you might see that right there being highlighted. Daweed or Daweed, the same person, Daweed. The word Daweed comes from the word meaning love or beloved. The word Dodi means my beloved. The word Dodah means her beloved. The word Dodai means my beloved ones. The word Dodo means his beloved. The word Daweed or Daweed means one who is beloved. So why will someone not want to have that character in name for oneself? Why will one not, brothers and sisters, all right, not want that to be appropriated? Who doesn't want to be loved? You understand? In the Mafia movie, if I remember right, one of the things that struck me was, do you rather be uh loved or feared or respected or feared. And it was like, I'd rather be feared, but this ain't for everybody's life. And you can see where a lot of those mafia movies, where the people end off. You're either getting life in jail or death in the casket due to your deeds. So we don't want that kind of legacy. We want to leave a good legacy, brothers and sisters. All right. There's any questions or comments? All right. We want to sit there. You can text me at 908-587-4841, or you can leave a comment right here. We're only on one channel this time, Moda Yeshaya Torah Lessons. Please subscribe to the channel. All right, let's go on. Brothers and sisters, get your pens, get your pads, get your paper, and take notes. Let's do this. Hebrew notes. All right, let's look. We're going to go to the laser pointer, if we will. Right? Dodaim, mandrakes. It's an herb. All right, now, mandrakes is an herb that works in females as far as producing eggs within the ovaries. If I stand to be corrected, the eggs in a woman is producing the ovaries, correct? So I want to make sure I'm right with my male self. Like, dude, get your studying on before you talk about the females. Stay in your history in your Hebrew lane. All right. LOL. But looking at it in that particular case, brothers and sisters, that is what mandrakes does. All right. You see that, brothers and sisters, in the book of Genesis. All right. Now, the word dude, you see in English, dude, Dominican, like yo, dude, or whatever, it means pot in Hebrew. All right. So dudi would be my pot. Ani mebashel badudi. I cook in my pot. Ani mishtamesh et Ani mishtamesh salika. Salika means pardon or excuse. Ani mishtamesh dudi. I use my pot. All right. So now from these kind of things, we can sit there and gather information on how things can and should be. And remember, as a brother wrote the book, Hebrew is easy. It is easy. It's not difficult. Just learn the words that you use all the time. So if you're a painter, colors are going to come to you easy. Laban white, Shakor black, Khum brown, um, Edom red, Argamon purple, Tekelit blue. These things are going to come easy to you if you're a painter. You understand? If you're a person who likes food, like myself, Akila food, Mazon food, Hazin to feed, Akil to feed, you're going to learn that quick because that's what you're about. You understand? If you love children, words like Yaled, child, Yalda, female child, Yeledim, children, Bakur, youth, Bakura, female youth, that's going to come easy to you because that's where your passion is at. You understand? So these are things we want to point out for edification purposes. And I'm asking everybody who is at the sound of the voice, if you call only on Yah, offer a prayer for my lady Sarah who came out of surgery. If you're a person who calls only on Yah, asking you to say a prayer for my lady Sarah who, by the will of the Most High, was successful in the surgery she recently had this week. And by the way, to not make anyone worry, the surgery in the hospital was a planned surgery, giving honor to the Most High for guiding the physician's hands in that manner. All right, so let's go on. As we pointed out before, the doubling of a letter in Hebrew intensifies such. So when we read Dad, meaning beloved, we know a root can be found in the word Hadad. Why do you think maybe? We see what? Beloved, beloved. A lot of people referring to themselves as conscious say beloved, beloved. I know a lot of brothers and sisters in the Morris science community refer to people as that. Beloved, my beloved. But that's the same thing as Lakadodi, as they try to translate in the Jewish way of my friend. But no, it really means beloved. You understand? So we want to point that out for edification purposes. All right? One of the nicknames I have for my lady is Love Love. You know, love, like Tony Braxton said, would have brought you to a certain place. I spoke with people who sell drugs. They say, I love that fast money. I love it. I love that lime life. I love to be able to just go up there. I ain't got no credit card or no bank card, but I sit there and get something done for me through someone else and I give them cash. And I'm listening to this person who sells illegal substances like, wow. That's the opposite. That's dark love. There's good wisdom, and then there's the dark side of wisdom. There's good love, and then there's the dark side of love when you love wickedness, and we don't want that. We don't want to be what Jeremiah talks about when it says, "Oh, they who love to do wickedness." You understand? That's what we don't want. All right. The word "haid" means echo or shout. The word "to" means in verb to shout. Haydad. The word means to shout. So can we gain something? Dad, echo, Dawid, loved, Dodi, my beloved, and Haydad, to shout. Love is something you can't fake. You can't hide love. I remember in school, there was a couple, and this is like children's school. They was doing what you call going steady, if you will. And their sisters in the class began to snap or take shots. They used to always try to diss us as the males in the class. And we just, as males, just sat there and took it. They used to I'm 43. We're talking about 29, 28 years ago, 20, 30 years ago, just in junior high school, getting snapped on and or like whatever. These sisters decided to snap on a brother, and I'm going to name him. No disrespect, first or last name. His name was Larry. And some of the sisters began to just, oh, let's pick on Larry and start making jokes about him. Takesha, let it be known, you will not insult Larry. She stood up. Like, I think all of y'all, we're going to keep the language clean because we ain't going to say what she said. I think all of y'all need to just shut blah, blah, blah up. Everyone looking like, what? She dealing with, yeah, the love, even as a child, that one little girl had for that little boy, even in junior high school, made her stand up and be like, you will not be insulting Larry. Everyone was like, oh. They tried to keep their relationship that they had on the low, but the love showed out. You saw the movie Django, and we're talking about a movie. The guy, Samuel L. Jackson, he said, being a coon to the slave master, he said to him, those N-words know each other. He could tell by the way the person playing Jamie Foxx was playing is like, he's too much into her for them to not have that connection. See, my point in just using the history thing that happened in school in a movie is that you can't fake love. When we read, brothers and sisters, in the Torah, it says, if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go. So why do Israelites sometimes wonder, it don't say you got to love your wife? It's implied. You understand? So these are things we want to point out for edification and reference purposes. All right? Thus we see that which is loved or that which is important is shouted in Hebrew thought. All right? Let's go on. Beit Dawid. Now, this is an archaeology found in 1993. That might have been the same year that Tamika and Larry was representing each other, but that's neither here nor there. Dawid, this is from the Danite stele found in 1993 by Gilla Cook. Sorry. The dating of such goes back to the 8th century BCE. That means 900 something BCE. That is when, pardon me, that is 700 something BCE. I stand corrected. That is when the people of the Assyrians were going to start to rule and when sadly the northern kingdom of Israel was going to fall. All right? It speaks of a battle between the Israelites and the Arameans. I love showing archaeology, brothers and sisters. This is saying what? Beit Dawid. And we're going to, with the marker here, with the pen here, if we will, circle the part we're talking about. Beit Dawid. That means house of David. Now, to all the Israelites, regardless of how long you've been in this understanding of being an Israelite, how many Israelites have you met named Abiram? I haven't met any. How many Israelite sisters you know named Delilah? I ain't never meet one. How many Israelite brothers have you met named Datan? I didn't meet any. How many Israelite sisters did you meet named Jezebel? I didn't meet any. So what is my point? Whether you're looking at names like Dathan and Abiram, Delilah and Jezebel, those names are not what we want to carry. So when we look and we see House of David after the death of David himself, his name, like it says, the name of the righteous is for a blessing. So with the name of the righteous being for a blessing, brothers and sisters, this is why you don't find Israelites taking on the names of people in the scriptures that were not good people. You understand? So that's what we want to point out. Mapped for understanding. And this Sipura David story of David redone because the other one, the audio wasn't as best. So I wanted to redo this. And I thank you all for joining back in this particular matter. Kingdoms of David, Judah, and Ishbosheth, Israel. In the book of Samuel, if we will. Right? We have, as pointed out here, with the laser pointer, this matter. If I can be heard, and if you're in good spirits, please type in the number 3, because as again, I can't hear myself on this. So I'm asking you all to cooperate and help me out with that. Thank you for that, family. So when Saul died, it left the kingdom of Israel to his successor, Ishbosheth. Right? And David too had been already anointed. So you had David's being brothers and sisters, all right, in that particular case where Judah was following David. David, correct me if I'm wrong, never tried to make war with the house of Saul in that particular matter. He understood his place. See, when you know something for you, you don't have to be extra, as the saying goes today. You don't have to sit there, that's for me, and I know it's for me, and there's no way it's going to be taken from me, but I'm going to sit there and do certain things that, case in point with politics, if you want to go there, for those who heard or those who even remember. Watergate. And I know this may be extreme because Nixon was not the best or favored by everybody. Nixon had the United States vote and what we call today on lock. I think only the state of New Hampshire did not support him. Once you know in politics, if you got New York, Texas, and California, and Florida, you got a lot of representation in the United States politics. When Nixon did what they call Watergate and had people go investigate something on the other side, you was being extra. You didn't have to do all of that. You already got it in pocket. But because you a crook, because you dealt with the matter of being a creep, you lost it. Then you have to sit there and wind up what? I resigned at this hour in this office. You had to wind up going out like that because you didn't understand the position already given to you. You didn't respect the position already given to you. So no disrespect intended to anybody. Learn from that. Don't try to be extra with what's already yours. You don't have to try to sit there and think somebody's going to try to take my position. Somebody's going to try to do this. Oh my gosh, that person gets more views on YouTube than me. That is ridiculous. Because Israelites, we know, for those who do know, we are already on what they call the such and such list. There's certain words they don't want you to say. It starts with a T word when they talk about 9/11. So those who know, certain words can get your channel flagged. So I don't want to say certain things. It's the T word that makes people scared, if you will. Israelites is on that list. So these views that you want to fight for from other camps and congregations and brothers and sisters on YouTube, ATF watches YouTube. The CIA watches YouTube. The FBI watches YouTube. Your local police department watches YouTube. So when you find Israelites feeling that I gotta fight to get these views online, be careful because some of those views, you never know who's watching. Brothers and sisters, when Malcolm X was assassinated, the feds had 9 agents inside that room. 9 agents inside that room. So to the brothers and sisters today, if you think that you're not watched, you are. But if you keeping your nose and your record clean, these people watching you are wasting their time. Let them waste their time. The kingdom of Israel during the reign of David. Now, after sadly Ishbosheth was assassinated, and the people went to David and said, "We've done this." You thought David was going to give you respect. Hey, now I got the kingdom. But his character is like, you don't have to take these people out for me to get what I'm going to gain anyway. If you don't see me going that hard for it and doing something that's not wise, why you want to do that for me? Which tells me, perhaps, not trying to put words in the book, if you will kill for me when I never asked you to, then guess what? If somebody asks you to kill me, yeah, you'll probably do it. So before that happens and you got blood on your hands, take care. It's been real. Put them to death. And these are things, brothers and sisters, that we can see in character in that particular case. Let's go on, family. Thank you all for subscribing to the channel, comment, liking, and sharing. Okay, well, this is from before. We're going to move on past this particular slide when there was a problem with it. Notes. Get your pens, your pads, your paper, and take notes, family. David was an architect of the nation of Israel's kingdom and a champion of the faith of the Israelites. I remember as a child the New Moon service in a congregation called Kol She'erit in the Bronx. David, king of Israel, liveth and exists. And that used to make me cry, honestly, hearing that. Because I knew David died, but I remember being 6, 7, and 8 years old when the congregation would say it 3 times. They would say in the moon service, David, king of Israel, lives and exists. David, king of Israel, lives and exists. And I'm there like, no, he didn't. No, he don't. He gone. But when they were saying David, king of Israel, lives and exists, it's talking about the house of David. I didn't understand that at 6, 7, 8 years old till I got older and it was explained to me. You understand? So looking upon it in that particular matter, that is what that is. David, the leadership was centralized. The scepter should not depart from Judah. The scepter should not depart from Judah. As long as men come to Shiloh. The Shiloh that is talking about there in Genesis 49 is not a person. No disrespect to brothers and sisters who teach that. Shiloh is a place. The scepter should not depart from Judah, nor a Lord give from between his feet, meaning from his seat line when it says between his feet. As long as men come to Shiloh. Shiloh, brothers and sisters, was the capital eventually of the northern kingdom of Israel. After Solomon's death, the scepter departed in part from the house of Judah, and the kingdom became 2 kingdoms. In Ezekiel 37, it says, take one stick and write on it Ephraim, and write on the other stick Yahudah, and it shall become 1 stick in your hand. The kingdom is going to come back and unite. You know the Most High don't like deadbeat fathers. The Most High don't like when women keep the children from the fathers. And the Most High don't like when a man runs out on his children. But we say we call on the Father. But we don't, in all cases, do the certain things that we could and should. You know there are males, and I don't mean to sound sexist in saying this. There are males that say, where was my father at to put his foot in my behind when I acted up? There are males who say, I probably wouldn't make that mistake if my dad was there to put his hands upon me. If you're from the West Indies, they refer to it as licks. If you're from the United States, they refer to it as a beatdown. Parents back in the days used to do that to their children. But when it became feasible, and she was told she could be mother and father, which is absurd. And when he was told, you ain't got to be there just as long as you pay child support, here you go. You see the kind of situations that wind up happening. So the unity, say like we talk about Shabbat Shalom. By the way, did anybody remember what the word sas means? I was asking that earlier. What does sas mean? Anybody? Can you type it in? The rules of Shabbat talk about you, your son, your daughter, your manservant, your maidservant, and even your animal, your pet. So the Most High wants unity. Unity got the attention of the Most High with the Tower of Babel, and they were wicked. Your unity with the Tower of Babel got the Most High's attention. So the Most High, to break up their wicked organization, he made it to where they spoke different languages. So if you're not talking the same tongue, if you're speaking a different language, there's a lack of unity, be it spiritual language or physical language. The word sas means happy. All right? Sas means happy. Okay? So Shabbat sas is happy Sabbath. Sometimes you might hear Israelites say Shabbat, Ashar Shabbat, or Shabbat Me'ushar, a happy Sabbath or a joyful Sabbath. The word sas also means the same thing. You might hear the word samak, and also meaning a matter of joy. But sas is also a word used for rejoice. All right, you see that in the book of Psalms 119. Now, brothers and sisters, David, since he was a child, went against the Philistines, namely with Goliath. Another time he was grown when he went to fought with them, his friend Jonathan, the son of Saul. Jonathan and Dawid were friends. Some people not having understanding, thinking they were a bit too close for law purposes. But that is not the case. See, people who don't understand family and people who don't understand certain things may not understand that. When the father is in the house, there's nothing wrong if his son has to walk into the bathroom. Biological sisters sit there sometimes and change their clothes in front of each other. Nothing funny about that. So when it says that the soul of Jonathan was knitted with the soul of David, and he gave him his clothes to wear, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you don't understand family, what true family is, if you don't understand what true friendship is, you'll have two pieces of Twix and none for the next person. Two for me, none for you mentality. And that's not good, brothers and sisters. That's not a united effort, brothers and sisters. So that's something we want to talk about for reference purposes. Saul lost the kingdom due to not attacking and completing the people of the Amalekites. David was then chosen to be the next king. What are we pointing out in that particular case, brothers and sisters, is this. What are we pointing out, brothers and sisters? Saul was supposed to go and attack the Amalekites. Saul did not do that, brothers and sisters. He saved the king of the Amalekites and the women and brought back their animals. The Most High said to Samuel, I remember when Amalek did when I brought my people up out of Egypt. So the whole, just let it go, let bygones be bygones kind of matter, that's not the way of the Most High. Ecclesiastes tells us the Most High requires the old. So that's why before things become old, you want to make things good. I got advice from an elder in Israel, and I'm going to take the liberty to say his name. His name is Chief Elkanah Ben Yahuda. Some may know who I'm talking about. He told me advice this week. As a man, when you're dealing with the lady, give an ear, patience, and understanding. Ear, patience, and understanding. I'm going to type that in. Ear, patience, and understanding. Ear is ozen in Hebrew. Patience is sablonut. And understanding is bina. That is what an elder, old enough to be my father, old enough to be a parent to me, told me this week about how to deal in a relationship with a lady. Give an ear, be patient, and have understanding. One of the complaints that women have about us as males or men is you want everything just when you want it. You don't have no patience. Remember the singing group, the R&B group, Escape? One of the things they were saying is what they look for is understanding in their song. So we just want to point this out for reference purposes, brothers and sisters. All right? If I can be heard and if I can be heard well and the people in good spirits, please again I ask you all to type in the number 3. Again, I ask you all if I can be heard. And if you're in good spirits, please type in the number 3. Thank you, family. Notes. David and Ahimelech became friends. He was the priest who fed David. The Zephite people betrayed David and told Saul where David was. David is hunted by Saul but escapes. 2 times he had the chance to kill Saul and did not. What does that teach us? Thank you, family. Yirmiyahu Yisrael, CP Son of Wisdom, Thomas Miller, Valerie Calamy, sorry if I mispronounced it, and Sophia. Thank you for typing in the number 3. When we look at this, he had the opportunity even after Saul tried to kill David to kill Saul, like, nah, I'm not going to do it. There's an old rap song for those who are into it. And if I'm misquoting it, please correct me. Eat 'em up, T, and then the next line is chill. That was back from the 80s. What the theme of that song is, take out the competition. And the person being told to do it is like, nah, chill, it ain't even that serious. To put it in layman terms. You understand, like, now. Eat 'em up, Chi. Chill. And that's how that part went. For those who do remember that particular thing in the 80s. So when you had the Cherethites and the Pelethites or so on telling David, yeah, kill Saul. I'm not doing that. Why? Because he's the anointed of the Most High. I don't have to lay a hand on the wicked. And I'm not trying to say Saul was wicked. And we know Saul wasn't righteous as much either. But my point in emphasizing that is the wicked shall be entangled in their own way. So it's not something that you as a person got to bang your head about, like, they just don't want to do right. I just can't understand. It's not for you to understand if you can't understand their ways. The Most High will bring the judgment in. Believe that. Know that. It never fails. It never fails. You know, Saul sadly wound up committing suicide. You ain't got to put your hand on him. You understand? David is told he is more righteous than Saul by Saul. David never disrespects Saul. We want to point that out. David, after helping Nabal, is denied food by him. Abigail, which means what? Abigail, does anybody know what that means in the chat? Abigail means what? Anybody? Saves her husband's life. She too gives David good advice. So, no disrespect intended, but on this channel, this is Torah centered. Somebody in a book sometime later said, let the woman learn with all subjection. I suffer not a woman to teach, but to be in silence. Paul, really? In Corinthians, this is what you're saying? Because when you go back to quote the old book, Abigail, who was another man's wife, is giving David a lesson. And David, having already, for the lack of a better term, caught bodies, dropped people like the giant and so forth, and already had a reputation to fly one's head, so to speak, he humbled and is like, you know what? You are right. You know, women say some of us as men are what you call wrong and strong. Yes. Abigail, My father is joy. That is what that means. Thank you for typing that in, Yirmiyahu Yisrael. And looking upon that, David wasn't on the wrong and strong. This character, while we talk about the Hebrew words and the history, we also want to show the character on how people want to be named after such. What legacy did you leave? Because I ain't meet a brother named Dathan or Abiram yet in the house of Israel. And all the camps I've been in, and all the channels I've been on, from Maccabees TV to South Showtime to different channels throughout the YouTube world, I never meet a brother, messianic or not, that named himself after David or Abiram. Pardon me, Dathan or Abiram. I ain't seen that yet. I ain't seen no Israelite sister named herself Jezebel or Delilah. I've met a couple of Hadassah, the Hebrew way of what they say Esther or Esther. I met many Naomi or Naami, like Ima Naami, may the Most High bless her life. But I ain't never meet a Delilah by self-appointed name. I ain't never meet a Dathan by self-appointed name. But I met a couple of Joshuas in Israel. A couple Dawid or David in Israel. A couple of Mikael or Michael in Israel. I met a couple of Shamgars, and everybody know the book of Judges know what Shamgar was about. I met a couple of Benaiahs in Israel. I met a couple of Yahudas in Israel. And as we can see, the brother who I sponsored as a moderator on the thing, Yirmiyahu, the prophet, Jeremiah the prophet, I named myself Yeshaya after Isaiah the prophet when I was 19. But nobody picks a name that's mud. See? That's why it's important that you leave a legacy. Gravel T. Woods, a black man who was an inventor. The Latimer brothers, black men who was an inventor. Madam C.J. Walker, a woman who was an inventor. And other people, Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth. You don't find the names of the Coons and Sambos. How come their names aren't there? You read about Nachshon ben Yehuda. He was the prince of the tribe of Judah in the book of Numbers. How come you don't read of the person like the father, Zelophehad? Our father died in his sin. Just let it be what it is, kind of thing. See, what I'm trying to convey is the names that we as Israelites even pick for ourselves, or if you ask a more or a mora or an elder to give you a name, they're not going to give you, or you're not going to pick a name that's mud. I found a couple of Samsons. I ain't never found a Delilah yet in the house of Yisrael. I even found brothers and sisters, well, more so brothers, naming themselves Israel itself. You understand? Or Abraham or Yitzchak or after the prophets. You understand? Shalom, Elizabeth Victoria. Do you know Elizabeth is also can be from the Hebrew? Elizah or Alizah means joy. Beit Alizah, house of joy. Elizabeth, the house of joy. Or Alizi or Elizah means the feminine matter of joy in that case. So I'm pointing all of that out, family, for reference purposes. Let's go on, if you will, to the next part. Oh, yeah, by the way, David wasn't one that you could not approach. So, brothers, be approachable. Can't nobody come and tell me nothing. Because, see, what happens is, in David's later life, when he was sick and he died in his sickness and he couldn't get warm, they had to try to find somebody to make him warm, for those who know his history. But if David was a nasty, can't be approached, arrogant, disrespectful, burning bridges, ain't nobody going to try to sit there and keep him warm. They're going to be like, you had to come and sit here, son. It's what it is. See, when you leave a good name and what happens? All right. So let's go on. Thank you for the time, family. David has to do a political and wise move and befriend the enemy of the Israelites, Achish, the son of Maok, a Philistine. So now let's stop there for a second, not to hold up the people's time. And I thank you all for joining in. David killed a Philistine when he was a child, and as he got older, he had to wind up living with and among the Philistines. You know why? Because Israel can turn you off. How come nobody want to go to the camps anymore? Israel can turn you off. Israel can offend you. You got brothers and sisters coming in new in this understanding. They're expecting to see Mikael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel flying around in the congregations with the seraphim and the Ophanim and the fiery bolt. They expect to see archangels flying around. And run into, sadly, sometimes the spirit of the Dathans and the Byrims, the spirit of the Vashti that you read of, or the spirit of the Jezebel, sadly. She wore that last Shabbat. She here to try to take my man. She's not there to take your man, sister. She's there to get the word of the Most High God. And if you and your each got a tight bond, can't nobody come in between that anyway. You got to watch your wife around that brother. No, if that's the case, you need to watch your wife, period. If that's the kind of energy in that case. But why do we find David having killed a Philistine as a child, dwelling with the Philistines? It's because the house of Saul, sir, you're throwing a spear at me, sir. You're trying to take me out of existence. I got to go where there is shalom. Got to go where the peace is at. So if you ever wondered, brothers and sisters, why congregations look sometimes the way they may do, it's the same reason why David will go and dwell among the Philistines. Sometimes, sadly, your people can turn you off. Saul consults with the witch. The link of such encounter will be in the description. Some time ago, over a year, me and my lady Sarai, we did a presentation about the witch of Endor and Saul. And that description, in the description of this, that video will be posted. David laments the death of Saul and of others and tells the women to do the same. David makes no problem with the son of Saul that rules after him. David rules in Hebron for 7 years and starts a family. So, brothers and sisters, David knew his place. He's already ruling in Judah. I don't have to try to sit there and go through Gad, who helped Saul body get a proper burial, and try to rule over there as well. Step, stages, and degrees. There's what they call it, respect the process, rules to the game, for the lack of a better term. He already know the kingdom of Israel is going to be his. He was anointed Ishbosheth, wasn't? So while Saul's son Sally is up there ruling, when I say sadly, I mean I made a mistake. When Saul's son is ruling, David doesn't have to try to sit there and be on some, that's truly mine. I'm a sidebar hate. You should not hate your brother in your heart. Again, that true energy, whether you hating your brother or your sister, that's going to come out, brother or sister. If you love your brother or sister, and you don't even try to show the love, it's going to show out. It's going to come out. You can't fake that. Hatred nor love can be faked. It's going to show. All right? He rules in Hebron. Now, me and my lady been to Egypt. Me and my lady went to Costa Rica. We intend to do more trips, create a will and let it be. Hebron is one place I want to go to personally because Cabron means friendship. Hebron is a non-Jewish city even today, even though it's been colonized by other nations. And that's where the Levitical city, Hebron, is at. And it was where David, as we see, began to first rule and start a family. Let's go on, brothers and sisters. Sons of David: Amnon, Daniel, Absalom, Adoniah, Shephatiah, Itrim, Shammua, Shobab, Natan, Shalomo, Yibkar, Elishua, Elipelet, Noga, Nepheg, Yaphia, Elishama, Eliada. Those are part of the children of David, not counting the children he had from the Philistines, from the concubines. These are the children he had from his wives. not from his concubine. So David had some children, if we will. You understand? These names are translated on this channel. Subscribe to the channel. We asking you all to comment, like, subscribe, and share. About 2 weeks ago, I did a video on this channel called The Translation of the Sons of David, and you can look on the channel and see that video. Let's go on to the next part. Thank you for your time, family. Notes. Joab, a relative of David, assassinates Abner. Abner was the captain of the guard or the army during the time of Saul. Joab had no business doing that. David is not happy about that. Joab eventually assassinates Absalom. Why do we point that out? Sadly, in part, is because Absalom is the son of David. Here it is. Joab is the commander of the army, and you assassinate the king's son. Like that was supposed to sit there and make you look good. David is not happy about that. People assassinate the son of Saul. David is not happy about that. David is made king of Israel by Israel. David called himself a prince when praying to the Creator. What do we want to point out in that slide there? Right? David is made king of Israel by Israel, but he always called himself a prince. Nasi. He didn't pray and say to the king, the Most High, you made me king. Because the nation can only have one true king. What did the Most High tell Shemuel when they requested a king? They're not rejecting you, Shemuel. They're rejecting me that I will reign over them. Israel in government was supposed to be what you call a theocracy, not a monarchy. But you want a monarchy? I'm going to give you a king of my anger, take him away in my wrath. That's is written in the book of Hosea. And in archaeology, you read about some of the kings of Israel, as we did over earlier with the thing called the Danite stele in this presentation. Comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you, brothers and sisters. You're not going to be extra for David. Hey, I did something for you that I didn't ask you to do for me, and everything going to be all right. That's going to bring a problem. I didn't ask you to take care of something that I am not handling it. Solomon, his son, wrote a proverb that says, as smoke is to the eyes, so is to the sluggard. So pardon me. As smoke is to the eyes, so is the messenger to the sluggard who sends him. As smoke is to the eyes, so is the messenger to the sluggard who sends them. What does that mean? Send your own message. You being a sluggard is going to have somebody else send you a message? You'll tell such and such I said, no. You tell such and such you're saying. Because by the time this person who is the messenger sends the message, it may get misconstrued, misunderstood, and so forth. But if you do it yourself, you can convey it the best way you know how. So as smoke is to the eyes, so is the messenger to the sluggard who sends him. Handle your own matters, brothers and sisters. Be accountable, brothers and sisters. David led the army. Unlike the leaders of many today do, they're going to send some army out and he ain't out there with them. Even Lincoln got respect for leading the troops back in the Civil War. That's what made him win the next election, for those who know that history. Lincoln was right there fighting against the South. That's what made the North say he's a true, quote, leader. And I'm not saying he was the best person. He put black people back in slavery. We know that history with Missouri. What I'm saying is the other aspect of being a leader in such case. All right, next part, let's go on. David gets the ark. David makes an error. Uzzah dies after attempting to hold to the ark. David makes offerings for the error that was done. Michal, the daughter of Saul, disrespects David and is put away. Hey, you showed yourself in front of the women. No, Michal. No, my love. No, my daughter of my predecessor. I wasn't dancing for the women. I was dancing and danced out of my clothes before the Most High, the God who put me in place of your father. Michal didn't understand the relationship David was having with his God. So I'm going to put you away. Then you go over there. Because you're not going to support me in my endeavors in getting closer to the Most High. separate from your enemies and take hold to your friends is written in the Apocrypha. Your friend is going to want to support you. You understand? Your friend is going to be there for you, brothers and sisters. The Apocrypha, a book my lady bought for me. Ecclesiasticus chapter 5 talks about what a true friend is. They're not going to see you trying to get things accomplished and say, oh, just that little old thing there. They're going to say, you got this. David wants to build the temple, but is told his seed will do so. David gives thanks for being told of his and his family's future blessings. David goes to war with his enemies. Brothers and sisters, know your portion. Learn like the character of David. This isn't for you to build a temple, but the child that will come from you will build the temple. See, selfish people, self-centered people, conceited, if you will. How come I can't do it? I did other things. I want to be that. It's not for you to build a temple. It's for another time by another person. But if you're a man who can't be teachable, if you're a man who doesn't understand everything ain't just about you, you're going to sit there and be in your feelings, as the term goes today. I should be the one to do that, yo. I should be the one. They should see me. David knew when, oh, time to step to the side. Hold on, I've been dealing with war since I was a child. Israel still got enemies. Heed the call. My lady made a salient point. Some people are like Moses, made for you to go to the mountain. Some people like David, made for you to kill a giant. Know what your portion is before the Most High and do it. So, in part, I try to encourage brothers and sisters and anyone else, write your literature down. Jeremiah, didn't write Jeremiah. You know that, right? There's 52 chapters in Jeremiah, the prophet. Yirmiyahu Yisrael, my brother. We do know, Jeremiah didn't write the book of Jeremiah. Baruch did. Isaiah didn't write the book of Isaiah. A person by the name of Yerebchiah wrote it. He spoke, and there was a person taking the dictation that goes with that. So you might be the speaker, but you may not be the writer. Know where your role is at. Don't be in your feelings like a big baby. I wasn't able to build the temple, so now I'm going to forget everything. That's something when the channel kind of acted up. My lady was in my ear saying, don't sit there and give up. Go back there and teach that, my brother. Go up there after you put the PowerPoint together and put the work in, and people may be looking forward, and speak the word of the Most High God. Oh, don't forget it. Really? Really, Moray? Is that what you're doing because of a fault? Any mistake that happened online wasn't done on purpose. Well, I'm going to mess up this YouTube channel right now and see if people still follow me. It wasn't like that. So we have to begin to see where we fit in at. You know what happens when you try to go outside of where you fit in at? You play yourself in today's terms. You insult your own intelligence in older people's terms. And you wind up accomplishing nothing and have to wind up having to start all over again. Be it at the job place, be it in life, and so forth and so on. You got to wind up starting all over again because your true position might be with A, B, and C, and you trying to do Alpha, Beta, Gamma. You in English, you trying to do Greek. Know where your role is before the Most High and work upon it. Ask the Most High to bless it. But when you see your role, and the Most High let you see your role, let's not make the mistake that no disrespect intended, the great prophets Moses made. Shalak Ashel Tishlak. Send who you will send. I'm sending you. You're going to go and bring my people, and y'all going to worship at this mountain. That's what's going to happen. You can't wiggle out your work before the Most High. Learn from Jonah. I'm going to go to a ship, and I'm going to go from Joppa by the Philistines, by the way. You understand? I'm going to go by Joppa, and I'm going to go from here to Tarshish. You know where Tarshish is? Tarshish is in the Book of Chronicles. Do you know who Tarshish's ancestor was? Japhet. For lack of a better term, the white man. Jonah was going to go to the Spaniards. That's who Tarshish is, Spain and Portugal. He wanted to go as far as there and say the 9th or 8th century, when Greece already was coming up and Spain was coming up as an empire in their own world. I'm going to go where the white man is. And this is not to sound racial. That's where Jonah was thinking. I'm going to go to Tarshish. No, what's going to happen is you're going to dwell in a fish, and then you're going to go back and do what I told you to do. You will not make it to Tarshish. You can't run from Yah. Can't do the Jonah. Next part, brothers and sisters. David goes against the Philistines. David goes against the Moabites. David goes against the Arameans, and they were no joke in battle. The Arameans, also known as Syrians. David goes against the people of Hamath. David goes against the people of Ammon. David goes against Edom. Do you realize these kind of kingdoms were not light? Where you see the land of Israel situated, we're going to go back to that map if we will, right? Of course, we know the land is bigger than the map. We do know that. That's not to be debated. We know that the land of Israel is bigger than this map that we see here. But when you start talking about looking at the left-hand side, Arameans, Sidonians, Zidon is of the Canaanites. They were Hamitic. The Philistines come from Caphtorim. They were Egyptians or Hamites, if you will. Moab, that comes from the line of Lot and Ammon. So you have all of these enemies that was around. Moab, Edom, the Philistines, the Arameans, and all of that was all around the children of Israel. And he had to sit there and go to war against them, brothers and sisters. So what can we gather to? It's not for David to build a house. It's for David to go to war for his people. Before you can settle down in house, you got to get certain things situated. That's why sometimes women say to men, do you want to sit there and act like you playing house? Where are you bringing me to, Ish? Where are you bringing me to, husband? Are you able to sit there and not always say physically, but be able to be that armor for your woman? Are you to be that Melech like David was, in our human term, a Melech or a king? Sometimes sisters refer to their husbands or their spouse as Melech or king. This is my king. Are you able to sit there and defeat the matter of the Philistines in spirit, the Edomites in spirit and physical, the Ammonites, the Arameans, the people that's all around giving your woman a problem? Are you able to sit there and be the Melech or the king in her life and sit there and say, I'll be your ears and I'll lay these hands down if I need to? You can depend upon me. I got you. Or are you going to be, no disrespect intended, like some men, you know something has to be dealt with, but you spend all the funds. And we already know that, not talking business on Shabbat, money is a defense, is what Solomon stated. So if you know that your lady might need something, you're not going to make yourself available to be able to help with it and just say, well, you make more than me anyway, so you got it. No, that's not the character we need to have. We have to change our mindsets. I don't agree with everything Shahrazad Ali stated in her book. She wrote a book called The Black Woman's Guide to Understanding the Black Man and The Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman. There's certain things she wrote in those books in the 90s I disagree with. But one of the things she did write in there that I do agree with is that the mentality, the mental state, the thought process, the thinking ability of the black man must change. Why do you think maybe in the movie Queen, they didn't want the person, I think it was Halle Berry, playing a part? I could be wrong. Name him Absalom. Don't name him David. David did this and David did that. What David did, that those women of Japhet didn't want that lady to name him David. and name him Absalom when Absalom too committed adultery. So it can't be the reason for that. It's because of the reason that Dawid stood out. These nations know what Dawid was about. You don't think these nations that mix with these nations know about the history of the Israelites? You will not. What did Hoover call it? Coito Pro, the rise of the Black Messiah. Dawid was a Mashiach. He was anointed. In that movie Queen, they were so dead set on making sure you don't name that black child coming out of that womb David. You better name him Absalom, somebody who wound up getting killed for his deeds, as opposed to somebody that was a leader. Why do we point out that particular and kind of matter? When we talk about black leaders, not to be racial, when we start talking about black inventors, you know what you see in comments on the line? Why you gotta mention black? What happened to just being a person? That's cool. But if they make a black Elvis, you'll go crazy. And if you don't think so, they got a young sister playing the Little Mermaid that's a black female, and people done lost their mind. So don't tell me that color and race don't matter in this society. Don't tell me that tribe and nation don't matter in ancient days. Because you had a little girl playing the Little Mermaid, and people done lost their mind. Or should I say a young sister? Sorry. She's practically grown to my knowledge. Halle Bailey, I think the young sister name is, and so forth. Saying all of that to say this, brothers and sisters. I refer to my lady as the Rebecca, but I gotta make sure I'm an Isaac. I can't say she is the woman in my life, and I understand where it says in the scriptures that Isaac was comforted for his mother, but I'm acting like an Ahasuerus. Vashti, show your beauty to all of the men. Why would you want Ahasuerus, your wife, to show her beauty to a bunch of drunk dudes? That's not discretion. Solomon said a woman's discretion will fatten the bones. Not when they see the pictures of your lady, they see things that only her parents and her husband should see. So, brothers and sisters, let's continue. David has Joab as the leader of the army. David has Jehoshaphat as the reminder, the recorder, the historian. You had historians in ancient days? Yes. David had Zadok and Ahimelech as priests. David had Sariah as the scribe. So you got your historian and you got the person that was your scribe, your person who writes down the stuff. David had Benaiah as head of the archers and slingers. We want to point out that any organization, in order for us to thrive, must have a body of people willing to work. Also, the person in charge must be willing to have others do their work without feeling a way about such. You can't appoint somebody to do something, and then when he or she is succeeding in it or successful in it, you start getting your feelings. What are you doing? And it's not to be disrespectful or self-aggrandizing. I remember being asked to teach Hebrew by different Israelites. And when the productivity of the Hebrew classes over the course of time was shown, when children are reading, when people are reading, when people are learning, other people feeling away. You asked me to teach Hebrew. But when you see the success in it, you shouldn't be in your feelings about it. And I don't say that to be self-grandizing because the glory goes to the Most High. So when David had these people appointed, he could not sit there and then be like, would you appoint them and thought they was going to do a good, not to do a good job? Then you wasting your time. You can't sit there again and appoint somebody to something, be it on a physical job, when you work with other nations, or even in the house of Israel, or even in your own household. And when someone does something good, you looking like, I'm going to find something wrong with this. You asked him or her to do it. It's your fault that they're doing it. So, brothers and sisters, maybe you asked and thought that it wasn't going to be successful, Or maybe, no disrespect intended, you got that Dathan and a Byron spirit. Moses, you take too much upon yourself. You think you're the man. You think you all of that. That's not good. Because like Moshe said, I wish they were all prophets. So you can see what it is. Next slide. David seeks to help anyone else in the house of Saul and takes care of them. David has more war with the people of Ammon. David sadly commits the act of adultery. David is approached by Nathan the prophet. David confesses his sin. David, when he heard the child died, ceased his fast and felt to move on in life. David's son Ammon violates Tamar and is later put to death by Absalom. You know, yes, correct, the Korah spirit. Moses and Korah were cousins. He said to his cousin Korah, isn't it not enough that the Most High already appointed you with the portion of the Levites? I want your portion too. I'm not happy with just mine. See, Korah was two-faced because he said that. Then when he realized the smackdown was about to come, I'm going to jump over to the other side. You understand? Not saying that you should stay, or as my lady points out in Psalms 1, sit in the seat of the ungodly. You don't want to sit in that either. But you also don't want to be a Korah. I'm going to be hitting on one side. Hey, how's everything now that I see you're successful? Pessimistic at first, and then want to kiss somebody's behind after. Don't we see that in life? That's how you know the Tanakh a living book. I don't know if that's a good idea. Then when it's successful, I knew you can do it. You sounded like the landlord from that movie Three's Company. I knew you had it in you. You hypocritical person. Don't be that. You understand? You can't play hopscotch. Korah played hopscotch. Hey, I'm with you. Hey, I'm not with you. Hey, I'm here. Hey, I'm everywhere. You gotta be straightforward to the point. It is what it is. That's what Nathan was. And David confessed his sin. Katati, I sinned. Not like some people might do. Listen, if Uriah was there, there's no way I could have. So you covered it. Let's learn from that, brothers. Something elders told me. I got my lady. I'm content. I'm happy. I'm not looking for another woman. But for the brothers out there who are single, or for the brothers out there who are into polygyny, take every woman that's married until she tell you different. Because if a woman like you, you're going to know. She's going to let you know. Women know men are apprehensive in Israel and in the society to approach. He said hi. It's harassment. No. So you got more females approaching dudes one way or the other to let it be known. I remember inside of a camp, and there I understand they're married. Every time we had a holy day, she made sure that brother had his water. I remember that as a kid. Here you go, Ak. Here you go, Ak. She made sure. I ain't gonna mention their name in case they're listening in there. I ain't get permission for that. But every holy day, this sister made sure this brother had his water. He ain't asked for it. She ain't gave none of us brothers water. He did. He did get it. I heard they got married as time went on. I'm saying that to say that there are going to be those kind of things that do happen. You understand? And David didn't have the mentality like, Bathsheba, she must have wanted it. She could have said no, like Abigail told me I shouldn't do that with her ish. David, when it was brought to him, katati. He ain't do the women you gave me. The serpent beguiled me. You're trying to pass the buck. See, that is one of the worst things to do. I think I spoke about this before in that manner with, situations. As crooked as society is, you get less time when you confess to a crime. Even in this society that's crooked. You don't have the jurors, the taxpayers, the this, the that, while they got you on camera and it's not redacted camera and so forth. So, brothers and sisters, confession is good for the soul. David, when he heard the child died, ceased his fast. He was fasting that the child's life might be saved. He loved his child. The Most High want a clean kingdom. So before the sword comes upon your house, I'm going to take this child. Death is not always the saddest thing. That's why you find Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob ready to do it. That's why you find Samson ready to do it. People, when it's your time to go, don't be like the Rockefeller people. I'm going to get a heart replacement 6 times, and I'm going to have these people try to make my life even longer. If it's your time, don't hasten it by your eating habits or your deeds, but don't try to fight it either, because that's going to be too much of a worry on your mind. You can't live your life trying to fight to maintain it. So if I can be heard and people in good spirits, I can be heard. Well, give me the number 3, please, family. If I can be heard and people in good spirits, give me the number 3, family. Thank you so much. David's son violates Tamar and is later put to death by Absalom. Why do I want to talk about that? And I hope I mean to know not to offend anyone. Child molestation in the black community is something we try to shh about. Uncle and niece, father and daughter, grandfather, granddaughter, brother, sister. See, that's how you know the Tanakh is raw. It's not giving you a romanticized matter. The sad case of rapists in the black community. These people were black we're talking about here. David was no White House. We try to, as a community, sadly, shh, don't talk about that. We know what happened, but we quiet. Absalom is like, nah, Amnon, come to this party. I got you. Slay him. How do you want your sister? I got 3 sisters. None of my sisters are ugly. What would you possibly want with that? Most brothers and sisters, the younger or the younger or the older, wonder why someone want to be with their relative. Ew, you like my brother? Or ew, you like her? That's most silly cases once it come down to that particular matter. But brothers and sisters, in the case with Amnon, it said he was sick, that he had the love he had for her. The love he had for his sister was an inordinate kind of sickness love. So maybe you have mental issues, but we got to take you out of your misery. You can't keep on doing that. That is not permissible. That is not going to, as the saying goes, rock. You understand? So, brothers and sisters, let's continue on in this particular case. Notes, David flees from Absalom. David has problems with disrespect from the people. David gains the people after the death of Absalom. David has more problems in a split between Israel and Judah. David does not have them who disrespect him killed. What can that show us? When Sheba and when somebody else had disrespected David, I ain't going to put you to death. I'm not going to do that. Because I know the sword's not departing my house. I know something happened. Maybe I'm looking at this. Why is this problem coming to me? I mentioned this on Shomer Habrit and on this platform, but I'm going to mention it again. I almost had beef and these guys wanted to beat me up when I was in junior high school. I think the Most High, after they were standing there at the door doing things with their fists, like waiting for me to come out the class when the class was going to end. So the dude who I accidentally hit, and it was an accident before the Most High was an accident. He, when I approached him and I explained to him, he said, all right, I understand. Don't let it happen again. Now, I could have been like, don't let what happen again? No. Proverbs, Ecclesiastes says, strive not with one that's mightier than you. I'm the nerd with the book bag. This dude rolls with the gangs that come out the projects of Baisley. He rolls with the gangs that come out of the 40 projects in South Jamaica, Queens. South Jamaica, Queens don't know Murray Yeshaya. At that time, Tayshawn, my government name. I was a nobody in that case. You understand? This dude was known in, quote, the hood. And Rochdale, Baisley projects, 40 projects and up and down Jamaica Avenue, from Gertz Mall to the Coliseum block, for those who know New York. I accidentally hit him. And I explained to him. And he stated to me, okay, don't let it happen again. I said, no problem. But then I had to sit back and think, how did that happen? You were supposed to have been with your nerdy self in the class already. They give you 3 minutes. Why are you outside the class past 3 minutes? You a nerd. You got the big book bag. Your book bag so big, JanSport, for those who remember JanSport back in the 90s, it had a rip in it already. So why you ain't take your rip book bag, carry yourself inside the class and sit down at your chair? What were you doing in the hallway with your rip bag? See, I'm saying this to say, know where your place is at. It says in Samuel, when David went to go and do, when the kings of the round him went to, as they say, let the men play before us and let them have war. David, with Bathsheba, wasn't among them. He was not in the right place at that time. Brothers, take every woman as married till she tells you otherwise. You know how many sisters sit there and go online? Screenshot, boom. This brother, boom. This, that, boom. The Most High is bringing it out. The Nathan the prophet said to David, you did this in secret. Yah's going to bring this out in front of everybody and before the sun. Everybody going to see that. And we still can't touch Dawid. Because instead of trying to hide and deny, I don't know, I can't see. That wasn't my page. That was hacked. That's not me. What are you, Shaggy? It wasn't me. Like Coretta, may she rest in peace, told Martin Luther King, I heard the voice. It's you with the white lady. Martin, it's you. I see you. And Martin Luther King is still respected as a leader. He said, Martin Luther King, like, it ain't me. It's you. It's you. Ata Ha'ish. That's what Natan said. So when it's brought to you, I sin, my bad. Don't do it again and again and offend again and then again. That's not bright. Whom Yahweh loves, he corrects. If you know you ain't living upright and you say, hey, I'm just getting away with it. Time to check that. The Most High is leading you maybe to your demise. He probably gave up on, you know what, this person just won't get it. Like the son of Judah. You're just known as wicked. Onan. You put your phallus in Tamar's vagina and then pulled your seed out. You didn't understand family, Onan. You didn't understand that situation. So Tamar, you wait for Shelah to get older, which means Tamar had to have been in her early 20s in that particular case when the first marriage happened, perhaps. And then we'll do this. So there's nothing wrong with an older woman and a younger man, because supposed to have been Tamar and Shelah, and she was waiting for him to grow up. Well, I'm going to give Shelah to somebody else, and then Tamar goes and gets pregnant by Judah, because Judah didn't know at the time who he was sleeping with. See how that happened? See the character that we're talking about in the scriptures and in the book? This is how we can gain stuff out of such. Tamar's pregnant. Let her be burned. Before you get that torch, here's who I'm pregnant by. Here's your... Now I ain't going to say yours. You recognize this. Yeah. Here's your signet ring and your staff. Judah put on his pants, his loincloth, put on his girdle, got his... If he had another staff, was, you know what us men do? Let me wash up according to the law. You're unclean now from the flow of seed. Yep, I'm going to go on my way. I got you. And as she began to show, it's like, huh? She's pregnant. She played the harlot. Yeah, I played the harlot. Come. This is who I'm pregnant by. Now, I'm going to take these twins that I got, and we're going to jump in this fire. See, Judah had to say, you are more righteous than me. That's character. When your spot is blown up, you confess to it. Like, you got me, my bad. I remember doing security in a building, and the managers and them caught me sleeping. I mean, I was out, night out, sleep. And so they stood there and looked at me. And then you know how you can get the presence that someone is around even if you're sleeping and you wake up? All I could do is, you got me, and we all laughed about it. You understand? I'm saying all of that to say it's character. We go over Hebrew, we go over history, but we want to point out the character of the individuals that we're talking about. I love archaeology. I have a channel called Mora Yeshaya History Lessons where I go over that, but we also want to point out the record of your spirit and what is left. Let's go on. Okay, let's go on in this. Sorry, it goes on to say David has an Aaronite that is close to him, Irah. David to quell the matter of a famine has some people executed. David sings of the praises of the Most High. David counts the people, takes responsibility for it, and buys land and builds an altar. So the matter with Saul's sons being attacked, the matter with the Gibeonites, excuse me, what we can learn as we close out this particular case is this. The things that you do can affect your family. Joshua and the Gibeonites had a pact. They made an agreement. Saul later on violated that agreement. And Saul's house dealt with such generational curses. We want to break that, O house of Israel. You know what a generational curse is? When a person died in the family and they got to try to find his or her children because they don't get along. Real talk. Don't ask me how I know. We got to change Israel. All right, let's go on. David counts the people, takes responsibility for it, and buys land and builds an altar. Notes. Now, this is what YouTube, pardon me, the internet now has from our brothers and sisters saying Tamar and the garments. If you see that kind of matter as a man, there are certain things that you already know. I just can't approach that sister just like anyone else. That doesn't mean your garments make you righteous. You understand? But you already know certain things. You already know this person is about something different. Saul committed suicide at the battle with the Philistines in Mount Gilboa. Jonathan and two of his brothers at the same time were assassinated. That's Jehonatan, Malchishua, and Aminadab. David tells the people that they must learn the bow and arrow. And that's who they saying is the daughter of Saul, Tamar. No, Michal was his daughter. Tamar was the woman in Genesis. I stand corrected. Sorry about that. Learn the bow and arrow. The bow and arrow is dangerous. That's what the Persians use. That's what the Assyrians use. And that's what the Egyptians even use that. When you see King Tut on the thing and he's up on the chariot with the bow and arrow, that is a dangerous weapon because it can go through you and it takes intestines out. It can go through your foot and shatter your bones. How can you walk properly after that? Heaven forbid that happens. So when we're dealing with war, it ain't pretty, and the bow and arrow is no joke. David, learning that, you got to step up your game. If there's going to be a cash-free system, you're going to have to learn cryptocurrency, black people. If there is a food shortage, you're going to have to learn how to live off the grid. So when these Philistines is killing the sons of the king, Saul, using bows and arrows, we're going to have to learn to step our game up. Do you know reason why the Hyksos and other people was able to invade Egypt so quickly? Because the Egyptians did not want to sit there and step up their game in war. They didn't want to step up their game. And I'm talking about Mizraim, Kemet, if you will, the great Kemet, as it's called. They didn't want to step up their game with currency. They didn't want to step up their game with war. They didn't want to step up their game with medicinal purposes. Ancient Egyptians used to use the feces, the excrement of animals, as a way, like a condom. That's why in the Middle Kingdom, they found, and what they found in the Egyptian women's tombs, that their midsection was rotted out. They used to use like you could put it in the earth for fertilizer. They used to put it inside their women as fertilizer. It's in the Ebers Papyrus of the Middle Kingdom of Egypt. They didn't want to step up their knowledge in the medicinal world. You understand? How, no disrespect intended, when you choose to stay behind, it's not good. Progress. Move forward. Yisrael. That Y sound in the beginning is the future tense. We're supposed to be a futuristic, not a backsliding people. Gibeon in the Kidron Valley area. This is areas on the left-hand side. The pool of Gibeon, you read about also, I think, in Jeremiah 2 as well. But this is the area where the pool of Gibeon was. You will walk down those steps and so forth and deal in that particular matter. Don't say that people didn't know how to swim. Then on the right-hand side is the Kidron Valley. That became where the area where David was. This is part of our land, O house of Israel. Get your passport. Get your passport. Fly around. See things. Because by 2026, you're going to need what they call the real ID to go from Georgia to Pennsylvania, to go from New York to Maine. You already need a passport to go into Canada. Step up your game. Like David was saying, teach us the bow and the arrow. Don't sit there and be in the dark like, I'm just waiting on the Lord. That's not what it means. When it says wait on the Lord, Kwahwe al Yahuwah, Kwahwe al Yahweh, Kwahwe al Yahuwah, whatever understanding we may have of the holy pronunciation of the name, you know what Kwahwe means? Hope, not wait. The word Hahe means wait. Like I'm going to just wait and just be still. I'm waiting. But most times when you read wait in Hebrew, it's the word Kwahwe, which means hope. Hope on Yah. For thy salvation I hope. Priwiti vishuwaka Yah. Of what Jacob said of Dan. For your salvation I hope, O Yah. So this is closing out. Giving honor to the creator of heaven and earth. We hope you are enjoying to learn from this. We hope you all subscribe to the channel. We hope you all comment, like, and share. The number to reach us, 908-587-4841. Much respect to my lady Sarah, and may the creator bless her. We hope you all have a good night and a good Sabbath. It's supposed to be done one Friday night. But nonetheless, brothers and sisters, it's done. Giving honor to the Most High for such. Subscribe to the channel. We intend to go live again tonight. From Jerusalem to the Hood, Part 4. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell so you get the notification. We're going to try to do that at 9 p.m. But if you subscribe and hit the bell when we go live, you'll see it. All right? Most I bless you all. Have an excellent Sabbath, an excellent weekend, a great week, and a beautiful year. All right? With that, we hope everybody has learned from this. We hope and pray you all, again, do subscribe to the channel. We hope and pray that you all do share. We hope and pray that you all do comment. And brothers and sisters, I'm open, as you can point out, with my number being posted in the presentation. Give me suggestions on how to make the channel better. I'm open to be taught. Somebody taught me how to put the PowerPoint together. It was actually a brother named Mala'ak. He's actually what you call Messianic. It was a Messianic brother by the name of Mala'ak. He's with the Israelite camp called, I think they call themselves Alpha and Omega, if I'm not mistaken. But he's the one who taught me how to really put a PowerPoint together. We don't agree on everything, me being OT-based or Tanakh based and he being, quote, Messianic, but we can be teachable. All right? So, in giving honor and praise unto the Most High, the Creator, Maker of heaven and earth. Most High bless you all. Check us out. We intend to come back at, say, 9 p.m. for the, maybe not, but it will be known for those who are interested. The presentation from Jerusalem to the Hood, Part 4. All right? If you call upon Yah and Yah only, please pray for my lady Sarai, who came out the hospital after an intended surgery. I noticed some people on Facebook might have been like, speedy recovery, which we do hope and pray. But the surgery was planned, and we thank the Most High for guiding the hand of the physician and the people who did assist. Shalom. Most High bless.